My name is Dr. Cordelia Fox, and on October 7th, 2023, I watched a man try to win a chess match by knocking over the board. He forgot that I was the one who designed the board. My office at Pinnacle Capital is on the 37th floor. It is a quiet, minimalist space of glass, steel, and silence. It is soundproofed against the frantic, roaring energy of the trading floor below, a distant, abstract engine of chaos that I can observe but not hear. My only companions are the numbers on my screens and the 32 pieces of a hand-carved Shisham wood chess set that sits on a low table between two sleek but comfortable chairs. The market, in my view, is not a casino or a battlefield. It is a grand, multi-dimensional chess game, a beautiful system of logic, psychology, and probabilities. My job is to see the board more clearly than anyone else, to anticipate my opponent's moves, and to build a fortress of strategy so sound that it is immune to recklessness. My expertise is in quantitative analysis. I design the trading algorithms that are the heart of this firm. They are an ecosystem I call Project Chimera. It is not one single program, but a network of interlocking, adaptive algorithms that work in concert. One algorithm is a linguist, analysing global news and social media sentiment in milliseconds to gauge market fear or greed. Another is a historian, predicting volatility based on arcane correlations from decades of financial data. A third is a soldier, executing trades with inhuman speed and precision. And a fourth, my queen, acts as a master hedge, constantly calculating risk across all positions and protecting the entire system from its own ambition. This work is intensely personal. My father was an economics professor at the University of Chicago. He was a kind, brilliant man who believed in the fundamental rationality of the market. He invested his entire pension, his life savings, in what he was told by his trusted financial advisor were safe, stable derivatives. I was a graduate student when the financial crisis of 2008 hit. I remember the day he called me. His voice was quiet, hollowed out. The complex, manipulative schemes of a few reckless traders had evaporated his life's work. He wasn't just broke, he was broken. His faith in the system he had taught for 40 years shattered. Project Chimera is my answer to the men who did that to him. It is designed to prove that true, lasting profit does not require predatory behavior. It is a fortress built to withstand the barbarians. The barbarian in my story is Harrison Blake. He is the CEO and founder of Pinnacle Capital, a man haunted by his own past. A decade ago, Harrison was a genuine genius, a legend on the street who made his name with a series of brilliant, brutalist algorithms that tore profits from the market's inefficiencies. But the market has evolved. The game has become more complex, more nuanced. His methods, once groundbreaking, are now clumsy and outdated. He is a former champion who can no longer see the board clearly, and my presence, my success, is a constant, quiet reminder of his own fading brilliance. His cruelty began as a series of small, pathetic slights. It started with him rebranding my most successful new algorithms, the ones outperforming his old systems by orders of magnitude with his own project names. Then, in client meetings, he would present my work as a collaborative effort, subtly positioning himself as the guiding intellect. I sat through a meeting with a major pension fund, where the fund manager asked a deeply technical question about our latency arbitrage model. Harrison launched into a vague, meandering answer full of jargon about synergistic alpha. I saw the client's eyes begin to glaze over. I waited for him to finish, then stepped in. What he means, I said, my voice calm and clear, is that our system uses a predictive algorithm to anticipate order flow from slower institutional players, allowing us to place our orders a few microseconds ahead of the expected price shift. It's a matter of speed and prediction, not synergy. The client nodded, impressed. Harrison's smile was a tight, thin line of suppressed fury. He hated that I was smarter, but he hated even more that I was right. The first direct assault on my philosophy came on a Tuesday. The market was a sea of red, down 3% on fears of an interest rate hike. My algorithms were in a defensive posture, making small, careful trades, preserving capital like a ship reefing its sails in a storm. Harrison stormed into my office, his face flushed. He was a man who craved the thrill of the gale. "Cordelia," he said, his voice tight, "your models are playing like cowards. A storm is when a real sailor makes his name. We need to weaponize this volatility, not hide from it." I pointed to my screen, to a graph showing the risk-adjusted return analysis. "My models predict a 70% chance of a further market downturn in the next 48 hours, I said calmly. "They are protecting our clients' capital from a high-risk environment. They are doing their job." "Protection is for amateurs," he sneered. "I'm overriding your risk parameters. I'm taking the training wheels off." He tapped a command into his tablet. On my screen, a red warning flag appeared. User H. Blake has initiated a manual override of Risk Governor 7.2. I watched him, his jaw tight with a defiant pride. He was a man who thought kicking the chessboard was a legitimate strategy. I said nothing. I simply logged his override with cold professional precision. His reckless trade lost $7 million before the end of the day. In the executive meeting the next morning, he blamed unforeseeable market headwinds and overly cautious modelling that failed to anticipate the bounce. My models had anticipated nothing of the sort. He was lying to protect his ego. His resentment towards me grew colder, more dangerous. The public execution took place during a live interview on Bloomberg Television. It was a high-stakes, high-profile event. I was in the green room with him beforehand, the air thick with the smell of stale coffee and hairspray. He was tense, practicing his talking points under his breath. The host, a sharp woman I respected, praised Pinnacle's recent stability in a market that had punished more aggressive firms. She correctly attributed that stability to our new generation of adaptive algorithms. She attributed it to my work. I was watching on a monitor in my office when she asked the question. "Harrison, some on the street say Pinnacle has become too cautious, that you've lost the aggressive edge that made your name." I saw the muscle in Harrison's jaw twitch. He saw an opportunity not to discuss the business, but to reclaim his narrative as the firm's resident genius. "Our stability is a testament to our core philosophy," he said, his voice smooth as glass. "But we also believe in aggressive optimization. That is why we are restructuring our quantitative division to unlock its full potential." He looked directly into the camera, a confident smirk on his face. "Dr. Fox's risk-averse programming, while elegant, has been limiting our market optimization potential. She will be leaving the firm. We need a killer instinct." Then he delivered the line that would become his epitaph. "Ethical constraints are luxury opinions. Real trading requires aggressive intelligence. The public execution of my career was complete." He had framed my integrity as a weakness, my caution as a flaw. I did not show any emotion. I simply reached forward and turned off the monitor. My composure was absolute. The game had just changed. He had made his move. Now it was my turn. In the quiet of my office, I did not panic. I did not rage. I looked at the chessboard on my table. He thought he had taken my queen. He had no idea he had just walked his own king into a perfect trap. My revenge was not something I had to invent. I had already built it, years ago, into the very heart of the system. My hidden ace was a set of protocols I had designed. I called them the Theseus Protocols. Harrison knew the system had audit logs. All trading platforms do. He believed these were simple, internal records, digital files that could be altered or erased if necessary. What he didn't understand was that I had designed the Theseus Protocols to be tamper-proof, incorruptible witnesses. The instant a high-risk override is executed, or a trade is made that fits the pattern of market manipulation, the protocol creates a cryptographically signed data packet. It contains the user ID, the exact parameter change, the timestamp, and the trade rationale. And then, via a secure encrypted channel, it sends a copy of that packet to an independent off-site server, a server to which only I held the master access key. I had built this system with one hidden feature. It was not just a trading platform. It was a confession machine. My revenge was a single, precise act of inaction. I did not hack anything. I did not leak any documents. When one of Harrison's VPs came to oversee my packing, I simply complied. I packed my books, my photos, my chess set. I did not disable the Theseus Protocols. I knew Harrison's ego and greed were the only triggers the system needed. My calm departure was my most powerful move. It was an expression of complete confidence in the beautiful, ethical trap I had built. The system began rejecting Harrison's control the moment I walked out the door. His first move, as I knew it would be, was to order his engineers to disable my primary risk management algorithms. I got a coded text from a loyal engineer on my old team. It just said, "He's taking the guardrails off." The Theseus protocol silently logged this action. User ID H.Blake. Action: deactivate risk governor 7.2. Rationale: aggressive optimization. It was the first encrypted data packet in a long chain of evidence. The trap was set. He had just made his first fatal move. Feeling liberated from my ethical constraints, Harrison immediately set his plan in motion. He launched a massive, high-frequency spoofing scheme, a classic, brutish method of market manipulation. The system placed huge buy orders for a specific stock to drive the price up, and then, milliseconds before the orders could be filled, it would cancel them and place massive sell orders to profit from the artificial spike. It was illegal, it was crude, and it was exactly what I had designed the Theseus Protocols to detect. From his perspective, the system was finally working without constraints. From reality's perspective, the system was working perfectly. The moment the first manipulative trade was executed, the Theseus Protocol logged it, encrypted it, and fired the data packet directly to the SEC's automated whistleblower port. He wasn't just committing a crime. He was providing a perfect real-time confession, signed and time-stamped by his own user ID. I watched his world collapse in real time. It was a Wednesday morning. I was in my apartment, working through a complex chess problem from the 1984 World Championship match between Karpov and Kasparov. My phone buzzed. It was a news alert. SEC halts trading on Pinnacle Capital Fund, citing irregularities. Another buzz. Federal agents on site at Pinnacle Capital headquarters. Then my phone rang. The caller ID was Harrison's private number. I let it ring 3 times before answering. I put it on speaker. He was screaming. A frantic, terrified torrent of accusations. "You did this! You hacked the system! You reported me!" I looked at the chessboard. I calmly moved my knight, placing his king in check. "I didn't report you, Harrison," I said, my voice as cool and calm as ever. "Your trades did. The system is just telling the truth. I built it to be transparent. The Theseus Protocol logs every parameter change and high-frequency order that matches a manipulative pattern. It signs it, encrypts it, and mirrors it off-site. You knew about the logs. You just assumed you could erase them. The look on his face when he realized. I could hear it in the sudden, sharp intake of breath, the silence that followed. The sound of a man understanding that he had been checkmated from the very first move. He had been so obsessed with proving his aggressive intelligence that he had never stopped to consider my intelligence. He had been playing checkers. I had been playing chess. Harrison Blake was arrested on the trading floor, exposed as a common criminal and a fool who was outsmarted by an ethical framework he disdained. The board, facing ruin and regulatory disgrace, ousted him. They called me that same afternoon. They were desperate. The chairman explicitly told me, "Your ethical framework is now our only valuable asset." They knew I was the only person with the unimpeachable integrity and technical skill to save the company. They offered me the CEO position. I accepted. My first act was not to trade, but to talk. I held a press conference. I explained the Theseus Protocols. I laid out a new vision for Pinnacle Capital, one built on a foundation of radical transparency. The story became a legend on Wall Street. I was hailed as a visionary, featured in magazines not as a trader, but as an innovator who proved that ethical systems can be the most robust. Institutional investors, desperate for verified integrity, flocked to the newly restructured Pinnacle Capital. Harrison Blake was made a public example of. He was banned from trading for life and faces years in prison for securities fraud. His legacy was erased, replaced by mine. The final scene is this. I am in the CEO's office. Harrison's gaudy, oversized modern art is gone. His massive, egotistical desk is gone. The room is now my own. Minimalist. Calm. In the center of the room stands my shisham wood chessboard. I have avenged my father's financial ruin, not by becoming a predator, but by building a better, more honest system and proving its superiority. I sit before the board and make a move, advancing my queen. Checkmate. For you, Dad, I think to myself. The game is fair now. My victory is a complete validation of my skills and my principles. It is total.